Hey there, and happy August, everyone. I don't usually do small chit-chat stuff, but I have to say that this summer is going by so fast. It does not seem possible that it's already August. Time is crazy. Anyway, I hope you're all having a great summer or winter, depending on where you live. Today, I'm giving you my 3 favorite practice tips at this current moment. And it's going to be short and sweet, which seems very appropriate for summer. So let's get going. Tip number 1, pick your repertoire and goals wisely. The catalyst for starting a piano journey oftentimes is a specific piece that you want to learn. Maybe it's a Moonlight Sonata or a Chopin Nocturne. And this is a great reason to begin learning piano. The problem is those are not anywhere near beginner pieces, and we often start on something before we're ready. As you can imagine, it causes frustration to the point of quitting, saying I'll never be good enough, or I just don't have the coordination to play these pieces, when in fact, it's just because you haven't given yourself enough time. So pick your repertoire and goals wisely. Pick manageable goals. During the beginning stages, I suggest aiming for consistency goals. This will give you an idea of how learning music looks. It's not a straight diagonal line up, but more like a jagged up and down. As far as repertoire, it's okay to pick a challenging piece, but make sure you're also learning something easy and fun at the same time. Preferably something that you can complete after a week or so, because being able to check off a piece after a week keeps you feeling motivated and excited for whatever new piece is coming up. And then you can keep pecking away at that challenging piece if you want. Tip number 2. Have a practice plan, but don't be afraid to change it on a monthly, weekly, or even daily basis. In fact, you should change it often enough for your practice time to feel fresh and engaged. So for the practice plan, you might write out that you want to spend 5 minutes warming up with some easy sight reading. Then you're going to work on your most challenging piece for 15 minutes, followed by 10 minutes on 2 easier pieces. After following this routine for a week or so, maybe you've begun to notice how many scales are embedded in your challenging piece. At that point, it only makes sense to either add 5 minutes of scale work or exchange the scale work for your sight reading. Then down the road, maybe you're getting too frustrated with the challenging piece, so you decide to take a week off of that, give yourself a break, and in exchange, add an extra, easier piece into the mix, or spend that time memorizing an old piece. The point is, unless you're on a very tight schedule with a performance coming up, there's always room to modify and change your practice plan. Rigidity in this case can create boredom, lack of progress, and lack of focus. And finally, tip number 3. If you're trying to fix the technical aspects of a short passage and it's not getting better, at least a little bit better, after a minute or 2, something is wrong and you need to find a new approach to fix the issue. Repeating something over and over and over just to repeat it won't necessarily fix anything. In fact, it probably will make the issue worse. So if you're playing a passage with a lot of leaps that you keep missing, sure, repeat it a few times to see if you can correct it that way with just repetition. But if it's not getting better after a minute, try to narrow down the issue even more. Practice just one of the leaps at a time, or practice it for memory, or practice it with your eyes closed, or very slowly, or focusing on the way your hand is lifting and moving, or thinking of a way to get to the note faster so you have more time to drop on the right note. The list goes on, so you have to be the problem fixer. I want to leave you with an important bonus tip that I just recorded for the Faber Follow Along course, and it's related to learning longer pieces. The longer a piece is, the more important small section practice is. Imagine if you had a piece that was 10 pages long and it took you 15 minutes to play through. Well, if you only had a half hour to practice, that means that it's only 2 playthroughs, and that doesn't even count going back to practice mistakes or ideas that you wanted to try. In a long piece, not every measure is at the same difficulty level. So after playing it through once, take note of where the difficult passages are and focus mostly on those. For example, let's say I played this through and found measures 5 and 6 very tricky with the hand coordination, but measures 1 and 4 very easy because I already knew the theme as well as the G and the G sus4 chords. Well, how silly would it be if I practiced those 2 sections equally? That would mean that measures 5 and 6 would never be as smooth as measures 1 and 4. So the longer a piece is, the more important small section practice is. I hope those 3 small tips, plus the bonus tip, will add a little something to your own practice. Coming up next is a whole bunch of advice for playing in churches or for choirs, so subscribe and I will see you then.